Hello everyone, my name is Caden and welcome back to more Chaos Head Noah. Last time, we finally reached a part where I stopped the playthrough last time. And now we're starting to get into actually new stuff. I mean, it was already kind of blind before, but I mean, you know, I've already played through it. But now it's true blind. Now it's like true 100% blind once again. So anyways, let's continue. So yeah, she could have cut her hair, or she could have used hair extensions, or she could have changed it in some other way. It wouldn't surprise me if she had been in disguise when I'd seen her at the crime scene. She had the hottest bod, real hourglass type shit. She was tall too. Might even be the same height as me. She's tall. The same height as you? Misumi-kun and I were about the same height, which meant Fez was probably about around 170 centimeters. Pretty tall for a girl. I hadn't gotten that impression at all when I encountered that demon girl. My memories from back then were hazy, but I still felt like the demon girl had been shorter than me. Yeah, another thing, it didn't line up then. Anything else? Oh, yeah, she had this real aloof vibe to her. Too cool for school type thing. The way she spoke had a big part in that. She's the kind of girl that's to talk in whispers. As for the tits, she doesn't have much going on. Thanks, thanks. That god outfit more than made up for it. It was crazy how it was. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Thanks. Oh god. Every single word he said was completely useless. And again, I'd only gotten a quick look at that damn girl, so I couldn't exactly list her features. This plan was probably doomed from the start. But anyway, since you're so interested in FES, you really ought to take a look for yourself. What's it? Huh? Misumi-kun began to push me from behind, forced me up the stairs to Gigantes. I desperately tried to fight back, but Misumi-kun was stronger than me. I couldn't get away. Wait. You want to see FES's face, right? Come on, be honest. Fooling around with another chick's a big part of a man's life, Taku. Taku, my boy, you're finally becoming a man. What? Let's pretend that glass girl you went home with the other day doesn't exist. I'll be forgetting about Tanaka tonight myself. Whomstead? What the hell was he talking about? I tried to stand my ground and fight back, but to my horror, I realized that I was already at the top of the stairs. Well, it was only the second floor. If I were to slip and fall, it would hurt like hell. Just the thought made me stop resisting as hard. Sorry, I was doing something. And in that moment of weakness, my entire body weight was sent crashing through the door and into the venue. Inside! Oh god! The second I hit the inside, an explosion of sound blasted my eardrums. I've never experienced something so loud before. This is actually stressing me out too. I don't like concerts like this either. When there's so much loud sound that here's the thing I don't like. I like things can be loud, but when it's so loud that it feels like it's shaking my body, it starts to become uncomfortable. It's not good anymore. It's just uncomfortable. If it feels like the sound is starting to shake things, that's when I don't like it, because it makes me feel ill. So I can kind of understand this. Plus, so many people is just. Ugh. Even the pit of my stomach was being forcibly shaken by the vibrations. It was so intense, it felt as if my entire body was being crushed to pieces. There were no seats in the venue. Everyone was standing up to watch. They were all rocking their bodies in rhythm with each other, shouting, "Fez, Fez, Fez," as their fists shot up and down. Still nowhere near the level of a Wodagay performance, though. A Wodagay? What? What's this? A unique cheer or performance that a selection of fans enact at idol concerts and other live shows. Some performances include very intense physical movements, with each and every one of the movements having a specific name to them. Fans in an audience perform Wodagay, and per coordination is a sight to behold. Okay. heat was devastating. It made me want to vomit. I might have been an otaku, but I was definitely not the type to obsess over idols or voice actors. Honestly, I hated this kind of environment. I could tell I stuck out like a sore thumb, but thankfully nobody was paying any attention to me. There were so many people in front of me, I could barely see the stage at the far end of the room. Just the blinding stage lights and the fake figures of 4 people standing under them. And as I was getting overwhelmed by everything happening around me, Misumi-kun handed me a plastic cup of soda. Seemed like Misumi-kun had paid for my ticket too. I'd have to make sure to pay him back later. Before I knew it, the song was over. The audience clapped and cheered. Then, having seemingly calmed down a little, everyone brought down their fists. Thanks to that, the road to the stage finally opened up and I was able to see it clearly. I got a good look at the short-haired girl standing in the middle of the stage. She was definitely not that demon girl. Oh. Oh! Wait a minute! Huh. Well, that's interesting. This is not actually the first time I've seen this girl, strangely enough. I remember you as an image in Steins Gate. Didn't Luca have, like, an image of you? Or, like, didn't Luca, like... I could have sworn there was, like, a... Like, Luca had a, mentioned that he liked your music. I could have sworn he did. Huh. Well, hello there. I can hear your voices clearly. The world is very translucent. The voice coming through the amp sounded nothing like that demon girl that had said those cryptic words to me. Misumi-kun was right. FES definitely had an aloof vibe to her. Despite her short hair, she didn't feel boyish. She gave off this mysterious aura with a mix of charm, allure, and a hint of distance. And to top it all off, the silver accessories she was wearing all glittered fantastically as they reflected the lights. I felt like I was starting to understand why there were so many threads about her on that channel. In this kind of concert, I'd always thought that the band members would be more energetic, but FES seemed incredibly indifferent during the intermission. She was pretty much the exact opposite of the excited audience. Maybe that was just the type of person she was. But it seemed like the audience wasn't surprised by that. They just stayed silent during the break, listening closely to Fess's words. Perhaps it's that gate to Cadens that has been closed. In Greek mythology, it is one of the 2 rivers located at the entrance to the underworld. The name translates to River of Lamentation. The dead cross this river in order to enter the underworld. Okay. Sorry? What? Cadens? What language was she even speaking? The world's equilibrium has been maintained for millennia, since the birth of the Greater Will. However, now it is crumbling. It is so very unstable. And thus I shall sing. Shall accept your chaos. Oh, I guess they were a goth punk band. So the band members probably had characters they had to play. Maybe it was an easy way to win over the hearts of fans. Just spout out some random nonsense that hinted that it might mean something, giving it enough mystique to keep people engrossed. Speaking of mystique, Fess was holding something strange in her hand. In her left hand was a plain old mic, but in the other she was holding some sort of weirdly shaped mic stand. It looked kind of like a sword. Really? It was shaped so elegantly. It felt sinister. It looked so sharp that even if you so much as grazed it, it would slice your finger in two. It was huge too, as tall as Fess, in fact. There were also lines of glass embedded into it, which glowed with an ominous blue light. I couldn't tell if it was really a sword or not, but either way, it wasn't half bad as a character accessory. No complaints there. I was strangely captivated by it. Then, using only her right arm, Fess casually lifted the huge mic stand. With an underhand grip, she swung it sideways, The blue light from the glass drew a wide arc with its afterglow. What the hell? That was so dangerous. What if it hit someone in the crowd? That wasn't a mic stand. Could it be a sword? And every night she would use it to cut the throat of some poor audience member, harvesting blood to offer to that demon girl or something. So was this concert actually some sort of black mass organized by a bunch of witches? A fierce chill ran down my spine just thinking about it. Goosebumps covered my entire body. I should really get out of here ASAP. But the moment I thought that, Fess let out a gentle whisper. Next, our third song of the night is The Necklace of Vajrayana. What? Vajrayana? Alright, I'm too curious. That sounds like a name from mythology of some sorts. I'm looking this up. That sounds way too much like a name I would hear, and I need to know this. Vajra... Aha, there it is. Vajrayana, also known as Tantric or Tibetan Buddhism, is a Buddhist path emphasizing esoteric practices and rituals to achieve enlightenment, often through mantra, mandala, and mudra practices, and with a strong focus on a spiritual teacher or guru. So, the necklace of Vajrayana, or I guess you could say the necklace of Tibetan Buddhism. Why reference that kind of thing?
Yep, rock you up.
Yo, that is a sword. I'm sorry, that's not a mic. That is a sword. That's a cool sword. That is not a mic stand. That is a sword.
Wait, actually, now that I'm taking a second to properly register it, there was also a character with a or no, it was the pink-haired girl that had a bow in the intro, didn't she? A moment later, the members of Phantasm all started playing, and a second flood of sound poured into my ears. A thunderous roar came from the speakers, a roar that felt like it was going to blow out my eardrums. How these people not gone deaf yet, hang out in this place like this all the time? Looking to my side, I noticed Mitsumi-kun was fully into it, pumping his fists in sync with the rest of the audience. The intro ended and Fess began to sing, and when I heard the lyrics, I swallowed hard. She was singing the prophetic song that had been posted all over at channel. It was a dark piece that didn't feel the slightest bit optimistic. Even its melody felt like a religious psalm, and the lyrics definitely didn't help.
Good music, though.
Everyone was getting riled up at first, but as the song went on, the excitement drooped further and further. And by the end, everyone just stood there, not saying a word. Really? That was because everyone was fully lost in the sound. Some of them just stared at Fez, completely entranced. There's definitely something about Fez's singing voice that captivated people. Even as I battled fear and nausea in the middle of the crowd, I found myself listening very closely to her song, not wanting to miss it. Goosebumps sprang up all over me. For a moment, it felt like the air itself had frozen over. Strange. The song ended. Fez was looking down at the stage, swaying her body from side to side as she soaked in the last echoes of the music. And then she suddenly looked back up. Without even gazing around for a second, she instantly... looked at me. Oh, what? It wasn't like she just glanced in the general direction of my eyes, or like she bravely made eye contact with me or anything like that. Fess was blatantly looking right at me. I'd even go so far as to say she was staring at me, fixedly, as if evaluating my existence, as if searching deep within my heart. Her gaze was all too intense, and yet, somehow she seemed a little sad. But why? Now that I think about it, wasn't there... We saw her perspective a while ago. Wasn't it that she knew she knew about Takumi's thing? Whose eyes are those eyes? How did she know about him? She obviously knows something about Takumi, I feel. Before I knew it, I was rushing outside. Guess Misumi-kun gonna pull me back? I ran down the stairs outside Gigantes and crouched down on the bomb step. I tried my hardest to catch my breath and calm down, but to little avail. I really shouldn't have gone there. My heart was pounding. My entire body was drenched in sweat. Hey, what's going on, Taku? Why'd you run off? Misumi-kun had followed me. He sounded upset. Are you leaving already? The real party hasn't even started yet. Well, anyway, what'd you think of Fez? Pretty cute, right? Without looking up at him, I shook my head. Who cared about that? Sure, she was cute, but I wasn't into 3D girls. And more than anything, those lyrics. I hadn't caught everything, but from the little I'd heard, there was no way they hadn't been talking about the new gen cases. I wish I understood Japanese, because I didn't understand a single word that was said. Of course, there was no definitive proof. Fess definitely knew something. I could feel it. I couldn't tell whether or not she worked for the demon girl, though. The girl now dyed a brilliant red looks back from beneath the full moon. I mean, she looks straight at me. The girl now dyed a brilliant red looks back from beneath the full moon. Oh! Oh, wait. Is she going to describe the scene in which the girl saw Takumi? Because think about how we first met the demon girl. The girl with the pink hair. She was covered in blood, dyed a brilliant red, and it was nighttime. Looks back from beneath the full moon. What would be behind her? Takumi. Takumi would be behind her. It hadn't been delusion, and it wasn't a misunderstanding on my part either. There was no doubt about it. Tess had looked at me. Just what were the emotions swelling in her eyes? What meaning did they hold? Why did her expression look so painful? I didn't know. Maybe I'd find out if I asked her directly, but that would never happen. I couldn't set foot in that concert venue ever again, let alone speak with Fez. I'm never coming here again. Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I managed to squeeze out those words. Was she describing the way that Takumi and the pink hair girl met? I walked straight onto ESO as soon as I got back from the Phantasm concert. The potato chips I had with me were already soggy, but I couldn't care less. They were still surprisingly tasty. Nice. To me, ESO is my life. It was my happy place. A breath of fresh air that let me forget all about the real world. As long as I could immerse myself in ESO, I could forget all about all of my troubles. I could stop being me and instead wander Baselard as Nightheart. But today, for some reason, Nightheart was a little off. Yes, I knew that he relied entirely on my inputs and my decisions, but somehow I found myself struggling to pull off things I could normally do with my eyes closed. The game was supposed to be a breath of fresh air, but today, the more I played it, the more irritated I got. Fuck, dude. I'm gonna fucking delete you, I swear to God. I knew it was all my fault, but I still took out my anger on Nightheart. God damn it, I'm so fucking pissed off. I yanked at my hair and kicked the bare steel wall. Having let out all my anger, I took a deep breath and sat back down on my chair. I stared vacantly at my monitor. Nightheart was just standing there, facing toward the gates of the city of Shangri-Lu? Free of my control. His back was facing toward me, just as it always was when I fought enemies. And of course, he was at maximum level. I wonder what level I am. Had the human known as Nishijo Takumi leveled up even slightly since he started playing ESO? No, since he'd been born? If I had, then why was I still so bad at talking to people even though I was nearly an adult? Why was I borderline shut-in? If I didn't log in as Nightheart for weeks, would he also turn into a shut-in like me? Whose eyes were those eyes? I suddenly remember those words as I stared at Nightheart's back. It's such an interesting phrase for whose eyes are those eyes? When you think of a video game, a character would be having the player's eyes bear into them the entire time. I mean, think of it, I mean, I don't know, like, recently we played in Xenoblade Chronicles X, just staring at your character the entire time, basically. I was mildly interested in what Nightheart would do when I wasn't controlling him. So, figuring I'd serve him for a little bit, I left my keyboard alone as I ate some chips. I swear to God, this guy starts moving. The second Nightheart starts to act on his own, you delete him. That's a cursed game. Nightheart had his own ego. And surely he'd waltz right into the city of Shangri-Lu. Wind blowing against his shoulders, right? He's the hero everyone worshipped, after all. I am... Hey, Nightheart, I'm always looking at you, you know. I do not want to... This seems horrifying, I'm gonna be honest with you. The idea of selecting a freaking, delusion here, because... I feel like if you choose a delusion, you're gonna start seeing Nightheart move. I don't want to do that, to be honest with you, so we are not doing that. You wear that? You just stay still, gamer. And then... I swear... Don't! Without me even touching the keyboard, Nightheart, who had been standing with his back to me, suddenly turned toward me. I swear! Or so it felt. Well, okay, I was about to say, I swear to God, I didn't choose a delusion. Takumi! I only do that if I select the delusion. The funny thing is, I don't know what would be worse. I don't know which delusion it would make him move. Would a positive delusion make him move? Or would a negative delusion make him move? Might that ever happen? In the end, I'd stared vacantly at the monitor for over an hour. But Nightheart stayed completely still the entire time. As it should, I swear to God. Though it is weird there's no idle animation what the heck? Oh, phones! I'll tell you exactly what happened. I reluctantly decided to go to school today. Before I knew it, I found myself going to buy a phone with my little sister. I'm sure you don't understand what I'm saying, but I don't really understand it either. I thought I was going insane. Why is that up? Short for the full quote, I'll tell you what exactly happened. I blank, but before I knew it, blank. I'm sure you don't understand what I'm saying, but I don't really understand it either. I thought I was going insane. It wasn't anything simple like hypnosis or super speed. On top of that, I feel as if I only got to experience the tip of the iceberg. A quotation from a popular manga about bizarre adventures, often used in order to cope with difficult to understand situations in a comedic fashion. Okay, so it's a JoJo thing. Got it. That explains why I don't understand it. Huh? What are you mumbling about, big bro? It's you!
Well, either way, I asked you what you think of this one. And so, what do you think?
You got blue? I think I want to go home. Besides, how many times do I have to tell you that I don't need a cell phone? God, it hurts having a sister that's brain dead.
You got blue?
When I got into school today, Nanami had made her assault right in my classroom. After happily saying, "Wow, you actually came to school today," she ordered me to go out and buy a phone with her once school was over. Once the bell rang, I tried to escape without her noticing, but I'd forgotten how quick Nanami was on her feet. So after being chased and easily caught up to, I found myself being dragged all the way to the front of the station. I didn't want to go anywhere near the station, and I felt like that the whole way there. Even now, I already felt like I was going to throw up. Nami, though, not giving a damn about what I felt, was busy admiring the many different models on display in the front of the store. I tried to wrap my head around why exactly Nanami was so insistent about getting me a phone, but I just got a headache instead.
Here, look at this one. Isn't it such a cute color? You should get this one.
Then she was asking for my opinion, and I gave a simple reply. That's fine.
Actually, it might be a bit too cutesy for you. Doesn't really fit you, you know?
See, it didn't even matter what I said. That would happen regardless. I completely lost track of how many times I'd said that's fine by this point. She would ask for my opinion, but she didn't actually intend to listen to it. This is exactly why 3D girls suck so much ass.
Is everything okay, big bro? Are the crowds getting to you? I always take a break at McD.
McD, the fucking prime hangout spot for Gokuns. That place was hell incarnate. I violently shook my head no.
Gotcha. We'll hurry up and pick one out then. Problem is, I'm still mixed between this one and this one.
Well, I sighed, deciding to just leave Nanami behind and go home. When Nanami was intensely examining the array of cell phones, I took my chance to slip away.
I'm gone.
Right as I turned toward 107, I saw something so strange it stopped me dead in my tracks. What was that? Huh? What the? Wait, what? Oh, sorry, I thought I saw something different. Across the crowds of people on the stairs to 107 stood a girl that stuck out like a sore thumb. Huh? Was she holding a sword? Wait, what? The color and aura it gave off felt somewhat similar to the mic stand Fez had he'd been using at the concert. In fact, I'd say it was perfectly fair to think of them in the same vein. I've noticed that so we've seen strange weapons now. The intro showed that there was a strange bow weapon. And then now we've seen, and then Fess had another strange sword weapon. They seem like gems too, like they look like crystals or gemstone. What are these weapons? And why do these people have them? But even then, it was still one massive sword. It might have been even longer than Fess's mic stand. To my surprise, the girl was wearing a Suime uniform. Couldn't make out her face from this distance, but despite holding something so conspicuous, the girl seemed relaxed as could be. She simply watched the people walk down the streets from atop the stairs. Wait, really? Talk about bravery. I was seriously impressed. Couldn't believe she was walking around right smack in the middle of Shibuya with that massive toy sword. Must have had one hell of a humiliation fetish. Was the sword a cosplay prop from some new anime? Then again, I was pretty familiar with all the anime that were airing. Was there really a series with a sword like that? Had slipped under my radar? Of course, walking around Shibuya holding one would be too much for me, but the sword itself was pretty damn cool. I wanted to get one, honestly. I wonder if I could get one in Akiba. Even better if I could order it online.
Big bro.
I was suddenly struck with an elbow to the back. The pain almost made me black out and collapse on the spot. Turn around to find Nanami with her hands on her hips, sullen as can be.
She also somehow teleported us back to the phone store. Gosh dang it.
Are you trying to run away from me? I know I took way too long inside, and I'm sorry for that, but that doesn't mean you just go and leave me behind. Don't you realize how mean that is?
I lazily shook my head from side to side.
Big jerk, I hope your phone hits you with so many EM waves that you die of kidney failure.
Let's just look at this. Waves exhibit properties of both electricity and magnetism. First formally postulated by James Clerk Maxwell in 1864, the electric field and magnetic field oscillations have been constant to mutually propagate yada yada yada. I'm gonna be real with you, this is not interesting. The fuck was her deal?
I feel like an idiot for trying so hard to pick the right phone for you. I'm not even gonna try anymore. Seeing Mal as mine is good enough for a jerk like you.
Nanami forcefully grabbed my arm.
Make sure you sign the contract today, that's the last thing I do, and until that phone's in your hands, you're not going anywhere.
I get it already, let go of me.
Okay then, hurry up and move your butt.
I didn't have a clue why Nanami had gotten so worked up. She really was a pain in the ass. Well, in the end, Nanami picked out a model with ease, as if she hadn't just spent 10 years trying to choose. After spending around an hour on the contract and art technical stuff, I tried to finally head back home with my phone, but Nanami stopped me.
Set your phone up for you, so why don't we stop by McD?
Without waiting for a response, she grabbed me by the back of my collar and started dragging me to the nearest McD against my will.
Knowing you, you'll just chuck your phone into a random corner of your room without even bothering to turn it on. So I'll make things nice and easy for you.
God damn it, how much longer was she planning to hold me hostage? And out of all the places she could have chosen to do it in, why McD? The inside of the Shibuya McD was the embodiment of chaos. There were shitloads of people and none of them ever shut the hell up. Sheer amount of Dokuns was off the charts. There was a table right next to us sat 3 Dokun tier mothers with dyed brown hair, and to make things even better, they brought their kids with them. They just left their children, 3 little crotch goblins with red headlights to be specific, to run around the restaurant squealing their heads off, and instead of controlling them, they just kept on chatting away. A different table was yet another group of Dokuns, this time made up of 4 high school guys, all laughing like obnoxious pricks. Next, 2 high school girls, complete with baggy socks and dyed brown hair, sat opposite each other, hyper-focused on their phones. They didn't even bother talking. Beside them was a snoring middle-aged businessman slumped down on his table, making it pretty obvious he was skipping out on work. But what really made me double take was this table close by with a group of 5 elementary schools, some boys and some girls. They all sat with their little school bags on the floor, happily chatting up with each other as their legs swung back and forth beneath the table. So considering it was co-ed, was it a mixer? Regardless, the point is that... My god. The point is that, as far as I could see, there were groups of people that I avoided like the plague. Nami had no problem at all relaxing at a place like this. Me, on the other hand, just setting foot in here was only served to make my headache and nausea 1,000 times worse. Ugh, excuse me. Like, why the hell did I have to play along with my sister and stay here in the first place?
Hey, what are you gonna do for your ringtone? Got anything in mind?
Without even looking in my direction, Nanami played around with my phone as she prodded me for an answer. Pick an anime song.
Overruled. This is exactly why everyone calls you a nerd, big bro.
You're the one asking me what I prefer. Come on, it's my phone, so at least let me pick what I want.
I know. How about we use the new Omura Carrera song? It's one of my jams. It's so good.
Yeah, no, that's overruled.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You're not really an Omura Carrera kind of guy anyway.
After showing how little she actually cared about what I thought, Nanami took a bite out of one of her french fries. I should probably mention that this bitch asked for a fish sandwich combo before dinner, one that I had to pay for. I, meanwhile, was feeling so garbage that my appetite was long gone. Piece of shit sister, spoiling her appetite and mine.
Oh yeah, aside from that.
For whatever reason, Nami placed her bag on her lap and started digging through its contents.
Where did I put it? Oh, here it is.
And she probably took out... No! A defective Garo Froggy?
Not defective. The goggling Garo Froggy that came out last week.
What?
You didn't know? You really do live under a rock. They release a new Garo Froggy every Friday. They meet 12 different ones so far.
Seriously? Was there really enough demand for weekly releases?
When I have my phone, it's the first one, the ordinary Garo Froggy. After that was the fatty Garo Froggy, then the rugged Garo Froggy.
Without skipping a beat, Nanami will recite the names of the various Garo Froggies.
Fourth was the smooth Garo Froggy, fifth was the shining Garo Froggy, and sixth was the most popular, the cat Garo Froggy. Then came the spooky Garo Froggy, the sleepy Garo Froggy, the burning Garo Froggy, the zombie Garo Froggy, the drunk Garo Froggy.
Can we go back to the burning Garo Froggy? Why was one of them just burning? Was it just like a half-melted Garo Froggy? That'd be hilarious if so.
How the hell does she remember all those? Hang on, has she... Have you collected all of them?
Well, there's no point if you don't collect them all. That's why there's such a huge line to buy one every week.
A fast piece of garbage like that? To be honest, even I could shit out better design. Wait, why did she even decide to start lecturing me on Garo Froggies to begin with? This is yours now.
So yeah, I'm giving you this goggling Garo Froggy.
Why?
If you hang on your phone, I bet you some of the girls at school will give you the googly eyes themselves.
After saying that, Nami started to put this job on my phone. I don't want that, the fuck? There's no point if you don't collect them all, right? If you give me that, your collection won't be complete.
Oh, don't worry about it, I bought two.
Do you buy two every time, or... I'm starting to seriously doubt her aesthetic taste.
Nah, just this time. I bought an extra one for you and your phone, big bro.
Purposefully?
Purposely.
Having now finished attaching the strap, Nanami gave me a satisfied nod before wrapping her mouth around her soda straw. Then she suddenly leaped forward, startling me.
Although it's not like I stood in line just for you or anything. It's just because I could. That's all.
I don't want it.
What?
So leaning forward, Nanami opened her eyes wide. She looked like she might throttle me at any moment.
You don't want it? You know I personally went out of my way to buy it for you?
You said you just did because you could. Besides, I don't care about the Garo Froggies. If anything, I think they look horrible.
This is why you're not popular with girls, big bro.
I almost expected her to slap me, but surprisingly, Nanami managed to rein in her temper and sit back down. Then, instead of taking her anger on me, she started nibbling on a fry instead as she sulked.
Well, it's not like there's any point in resisting. I've already put it on after all.
Just take it off when you get alone. She sure was acting like the queen of everything. Then again, I knew jack shit about cell phones, so it was true that Nanami knew best here.
And if you even think about taking it off, you'll be the one staying in the weekly line. Got it?
Weekly line? For what exactly?
Hello, so you can buy the new Garo Froggy? The whole thing usually takes a couple hours.
Not a chance now. There's no way I was gonna let my sister hit me with a threat like that. For a while after that, Nanami worsley continued to fiddle with my phone. Wasn't particularly picky about whatever she was setting up, so I was honestly grateful for the silence.
Yeah, this all feels kind of strange.
Next time she opened her mouth, her sullen demeanor from before had completely disappeared. I guess she only needed a few minutes to forget annoying shit instead of having to sleep it off. Talk about easygoing. In a way, I envied her.
Yep, it really is strange. Feels like we haven't gone out like this in forever, big bro. I wonder when the last time we did something like this was. I actually can't remember. You're always cooped up in your room watching anime and playing games, so I guess it only makes sense. But yeah, doing this every once in a while is nice. Has to shake things up, you know? It definitely sucks doing this every day, though, even for me.
Board getter. Nanami placed my phone on the table and picked up her fish sandwich. She happily undid the wrapping and hardly sank her teeth in.
Sandwich make me strong.
Come to think of it, I feel like she said at one point that the fish sandwich here was her favorite food. If I'm getting fat.
Bruh. Uh-oh. It's time to leave. It is time to leave. She glared at me menacingly. And after hesitating for a second, she bashfully held out her half-eaten fish sandwich.
Want your half?
You're already too late there.
Things like that will make the girls hate you. Better keep that in mind, you big jerk.
Nami ended up finishing the fish sandwich all on her own. No! You idiot!
Hmm? Wait. Judgment is nigh for this city. That guy wasn't there before. I am almost positive. I swear that guy wasn't there before. After that, Nami held me hostage with hours of useless chatter. By the time I finally had my phone back, it was already dark. Been a long, painful few hours, but eventually I was able to get away from Nami and start heading back home. Fall seemed to be in full swing now, with the night breeze carrying a slight chill, one that soothed my headache and nausea. Those two things never failed to torment me whenever I spent a long time in crowds. Honestly, Nami, KYS. Okay, don't actually, but still. You should kill yourself now. In-game. She only ever thought about herself. She probably didn't even have a clue about how much torture she constantly inflicted on me. If I had the option, I'd love to snap my new phone cleanly in half right now and throw it into the nearest trash can. It wasn't like I bought it with my own money after all. But if I actually did that, it wouldn't just be Nanami that'd come to my base, but my parents too. And then, without picking up on a damn thing, they'd just go, "Oh, since it broke on you, let's go and buy you a new one," like they were. Thus, I reluctantly suppressed my urges to smash the damn thing. I need to get home and quickly. I could hear another night of ESO calling my name. Not a single day had passed recently that hadn't filled me with endless anxiety. I really hoped my peaceful everyday life would hurry up and come back already. Are you kidding me? On that night, another grotesque case occurred. The fourth new gen case. Oh boy. Like always, Grim had laid out the details to me when I was playing ESO. Alright, what happened this time? Sup, Grim? A bit later than usual today, huh? Whose eyes are those? Grim? Grim? I couldn't believe my eyes. Why did Grim know that phrase? I was completely taken aback. My fingers trembled on the keyboard and fingers. I'm a wordsmith, don't you know? I didn't even know where to start with responding. Hell, even just looking at what he typed nearly took everything out of me. Why does Grim know that now? Don't tell me that the freaking phrase is used in the fourth murder. The fourth new gen case happened. Been following the ship storm. Could you explain yourself? Things be really heating up in Shibuya. This one's seriously fucking crazy, dude. The victim's corpse had all the blood completely... Jesus Christ, they found him dead in the Enoch Ashira station bathroom, and the corpse was really something. Skin had turned green all over. Seriously, god damn... Lately, I started thinking the occult theories might be true. There's no way a person could do this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back up a couple steps there. First of all, you're just gonna ignore the fact that you know about the message? Why do you know the phrase? And why did you just glance over it like it was nothing? Second off, the person's body turned green? And then, hang on a sec. I want to know something. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a clear answer here, but I'm going to try. Enoch Shira. Hmm. No, I'm not getting the answers I was wondering. I was gonna try and look up if, hang on a second, I need to grab my charger for my phone. I was gonna try and look up if, Inagashira was anywhere near, like, where we were in, like, we were in Shibuya, right? I wanted to see if it was maybe anywhere nearby, because we saw the girl with the sword, right? But, no. But then you're also saying the body turned green, which, I'm gonna be real with you, something did come to mind the second I heard that. You know what came to mind? I know it's definitely not the same thing they're talking about. I know for a fact, because there's no way. But when you say a body turns green, it immediately makes me think of the whole jellification thing that happened to things that were time traveled back in Steins Gate. My imagination came very close to forming an image, but I was just barely able to keep that delusion at bay. I took a gulp of cola from the bottle to calm myself somewhat. Damn that Grim. He had to be ambushing me like this on purpose. That doesn't explain why he knew the phrase. No reaction? How do you know so much about it? You're talking almost like you were there. Well, something like that. Also, I guess you're still not interested in this stuff, Nightheart? New gen and all that jazz? Not enough to follow it. Too busy grinding in ESO. Never change, oh lightning fast Nightheart. True vegan addict that puts the rest of us to shame. That's why we love you. That's why we admire you. Shut up. That's why we love you. A quotation from a popular manga about bizarre adventures, used to express awe at someone's capabilities, often used sarcastically in reference to negative character traits such as pettiness. Thank you. This one doesn't need explanation. So, I didn't really want to talk about new gen, so I managed to fool Grim into bringing the topic to an end. By the way, take a look at this. What do you think? What? I'm sensing some serious bait. Last time he'd done this, he acted like it was some gory shit, only for it to be some random dumbass meme. This time, it could very well be the opposite. You seriously don't know about it? About what? Are you actually a wrong cider Nightheart? Fuck off. Fine, what is it? What if I said it's related to your precious Seraton? For real? Then I had to. This is bait. For as far as I can tell, the URL looked like it linked to some auction page, so it probably wouldn't crash my browser or hit me with anything mentally scarring. Bait, crash. We already know what those mean. Slightly excited, I opened the link. Wait, what's going... What? Type B blood again? What? Huh? Wait. This is the second time Type B blood is being mentioned. What? Welcome, guests. Thanks for visiting us. Taboo auctions, 18 plus IM details. And Nippon Taboo. Type B blood in short supply. Seller is Seller is vamp buyer. Okay. Do we have a vampire going around? What is happening? Type B blood in short supply. I feel like I'd seen that title somewhere again. It might have been deja vu again. Anyway, more importantly, where the Damn it. Uh, uh,
Sorry, I'm just sitting here in complete shock for a second. I need time to, like, reorganize myself because, what the fuck did I just see? That was obviously the body that was mentioned, but Jesus Christ. Their skin had simply turned green from what I saw. From what I saw, the person was turned into a fucking banana, and the inside of them was green. They were peeled like a banana. That's what I just saw briefly there. What do you mean? What did you just... What? And how does that relate to the... Why was that on the same page as the type B blood? That image genuinely put so... Like, I was just sat there with my mouth open for like 10, 20 seconds, it felt like. What happened? Thanks, Grim. Sleep with one eye open. I could tell at a glance that the image that came up on my monitor was obviously gore. Yeah, no shit. I turned my gaze to my left monitor in a panic, then quickly closed the browser. Grim, I'm going to kill you. The gore had only been on my screen for less than 3 seconds, and the time I spent actually looking at was even less than that, but even so... It's a picture of the corpse from the 4th gen new case, from before the mass media started reporting on it. It's being sold on auction like it's totally normal. It's like they're putting a price on the victim's tragic state itself. So basically the seller is 100% the new gen culprit. Isn't that insane? The seller name is Vampire. Well, it's probably just some throwaway. Even so, this is probably this is already caused a total shitstorm online. Been posted all over tons of image boards. There's even memes. It's like Rule 34. People do this shit way too... Sorry, I'm still in complete shock over what I just witnessed. That man was peeled like a banana. That was not his skin turning green. That was him being peeled like a banana, and his innards were green. I don't even... Where do you even begin with that? That was nothing like the jellification thing that I was thinking that was in Steins Gate. Absolutely not. Jellification didn't do half that shit. But... Jesus Christ. That genuinely, like, completely threw me off. That was fascinating, just the way that like shut me down for a second in like complete shock. I don't even like, I mean, I didn't even think the image was like that, like, I don't know. It's not even that it like scared me what I saw. I mean, I've seen horrible monstrosities and Resident Evil monsters that put that, whatever that looks like, to shame. It's just, it came so out of nowhere that it completely turned me off. I had to reboot as a person, process what I was looking at, because it did not feel like it matched whatever was happening in the moment. I was so fixated on type B blood, and it's just like, oh, by the way, here's Banana Man. That's what I'm calling that. That's Banana Man. Okay, I think I'm starting to recompose myself slowly. That was unironically one of the most like immediate mood turns I've ever had. Like that wasn't merely 90 degrees. That wasn't 100. That was a full 360 degree turn. And like, you did a full spin in a millisecond, a nanosecond. I don't care. And it's made me feel wrong. I had to shut down my brain and reactivate it. Okay. Oh yeah, did you notice the dying message? No, in the image.
Dying message. It's written on the wall with the victim's blood. Still can't believe it's there. Culprit probably did for shits and giggles. Oh, that's why he knows the phrase. Whose eyes are those eyes? The killer put that as the message, and the dying message was whose eyes are those eyes, wasn't it? I'd only seen the image for an instant yet. This is a game. It can't be real. The world can't be real. This has to be a game world. The victim's last message, written sloppily in deep red blood, had been burned into my mind. No matter how much I tried to not think about it, the letters rose one by one on my closed eyelids, urging me to realize them. Oh, what was that phrase there? I knew those words all too well. Words I often murmured to myself. Words I asked nobody in particular. The words Grimm had first said when I jumped on ESO. It was like they were everywhere now. Those words I had never actually said to anyone throughout my entire life. Whose eyes are those eyes? Chapter 2, Click Me. Chapter 3, Shogun. Why is that phrase everywhere now? It's so... Whose eyes are those eyes? When you put into the context of a video game, it implies that it's the player staring at the game character, or controlling the game character, or the game character's actions are not their own, but rather what simply the person who's playing the game demands them be. Why is it suddenly appearing everywhere here? And why was the person... Why are these people being targeted? That's another question. Why exactly are these people being specifically targeted? You know what I'm probably going to do? At the beginning of each chapter, I'm going to lock. I don't think... You know what? I could probably afford to lock this one. No, we're not. Oh, I can lock this one, though. The reason I'm doing this is because I assume many of the endings will require us to go back to certain points in chapters. So, you know what? I'm going to look this up. How many chapters are in this game? I don't think that's too big a spoiler. Because even if I know how many chapters, that doesn't exactly confirm length. So let's see. Chaos Head Noah. How many chapters? There are... ten chapters. Gotcha. I don't think that's that big a spoiler, because especially considering that chapter 2, felt way shorter than chapter 1 for some reason to me. I don't know if it was, but it certainly felt that way. But I don't think that's too big a spoiler. But this way I can have like a save for each point, for each chapter point, so we can just easily get back to it. Anyways, late night, Shibuya, 4 a.m. Despite being named the city that never sleeps, very few people were currently present at its most popular locale, Scramble Crossing. Instead, many taxis were parked in their place, ready to carry away the drunks unwilling to wait for the first train of the morning. A generous amount of the drivers were reclining their seats, napping. More diligent drivers leaned against their steering wheels as their eyes stared idly toward the hotspots, the most frequent ones being Center Guy and the 107 building. However, they were not trying to ascertain whether or not any of the passerby were potential customers. Instead, they focused intently on the movements of the sanitation workers who had arrived about 30 minutes before. About 5 to 6 men were thought to be sanitation workers due to their yellow armbands, each of which had sanitation reporter written on them. It's very likely that, without the armbands, no one would have recognized them as such. But there was something particularly odd about the men. They were all wearing black suits. Furthermore, ever since their arrival, they had yet to show any signs of cleaning at all. Instead, one man held a strange instrument resembling a pendulum, and the surrounding man appeared to be measuring something. This was not restricted to just the one area, however. From the center of the scramble crossing to the very edge of it, they left no spot untouched, writing all their findings down on various scraps of paper. Even now, they were taking measurements from directly beneath the traffic signals, silently observing the movements of the pendulum. At last, the instrument let out a small chime. Location L2A, 0.62 mega GE, the highest score yet. It's risen 38 points higher than last month. Just as expected. There was no one present in the early morning Shibuya to pay attention to the odd mumbling and behavior. The taxi drivers would speed off as soon as the patrons boarded their cars, quickly forgetting about the mysterious sanitation workers. The drunks were hardly conscious, leaving them unable to see anything around them to begin with. Female nightlife workers who had just clocked out, finally freed from the stress of smiling at repulsive drunkards, jumped into taxis to get home as soon as possible. And thus, not a single person was around to notice. The government had not scheduled any plans whatsoever for cleaning to take place that morning. So who are these people? Vampire. Even after the weekend had passed, the uproar brought on by the fourth new-gen case, now dubbed the Vampire Incident, hadn't even come close to calming down. No kidding! Again, the dude was turned into a human banana, and then he was posted online to be bought? The man's corpse had been found with all of its blood taken out of it, leaving the surface of the body a sickly, inhuman shade of green. It had been discovered in a bathroom at Shibuya Station, a part of the Inokashira line. A bathroom at Shibuya Station. Didn't we see the girl with the sword? Didn't we see a person with a sword apparently at that area? Was it her that caused it then? In addition, it was uncovered that a photograph of the corpse had been posted to an online auction. Considering the abnormality and brutality of the murder, it was inevitable that both the mass media and @channel jumped on it. Special attention had been paid to the headline of the auction page, which read, Type B blood in short supply. That was the thing on when we were leaving the hospital, this girl gave like a thing of tissues, which had a card that talked about Type B blood in short supply. But why? Are these murders being occurred for blood? Is that what's going on here? No, but they're all being done in such strange ways. Tissue packs advertising an upcoming blood drive had been handed out in large quantities in front of Shibuya Station a few days prior to the incident, and the exact same message had been written on them. I had one of those tissue packs on hand. Reading back over it again now, the insanely strange words didn't read like an ad for a blood drive anymore. They read like some kind of advanced message of the crime. Was the person who was handing them out? What the hell's going on? Jesus Christ, what the hell? Police had supposedly been searching for the part-timers handing out the tissue packs, but they had yet to find any of them. They can't find any of them. What is going on? However, there was one area where the vampire differed pretty heavily from the previous cases. Where there had already been elements of it in the Crucifixion case, the intent for it to be a theatrical crime was much more obvious with this one. A type of crime committed under full view of the public. These crimes and their subsequent investigations are reported on in detail by the mass media, who treat it almost as if it's a TV special. Adding to this effect, the perpetrators will sometimes even send a declaration of their crimes. It is extremely easy for theatrical crimes to sow disorder and chaos. For example, some individuals may view the criminal as a hero, and some may even be inspired to commit their own similar crimes. The latter individuals are known as copycat criminals. We don't need to know that. A few media outlets have begun clamoring for increased police presence via patrols, or for a late-night curfew for people under 18. But the number of young people visiting the city showed no signs of declining. They were just as packed as usual, with people flooding every nook and cranny of Center Guy and Scramble Crossing. Sarah. The internet was so thirsty for news, a group of people trying to be Snake had snuck into Shibuya late at night to post live updates. And there had also been a phrase that was trending among the city's younger population. Whose eyes are those eyes? It wasn't just online either. That phrase had penetrated the ranks of each and every Dokyun walking around Shibuya. On that channel, it had become common practice to tack the phrase onto anything, regardless of if it was related or not. This week's episode of Blood Tomb will have much serotonin whose eyes are those eyes. The new patch's weapons are so weak they're actually unusable. Oh, whose eyes are those eyes? What whose eyes are those eyes is that from? And so on. People my age, New Gen was probably just something new and exciting to follow. The newest shit show to obsess over. To me, it's the most aggravating thing possible. Why is this phrase everywhere? Regardless, a whole 3 days have passed since the vampire case, so I've been able to calm down a little. So either there's... Why is it that the killer or why is it that whoever's doing these crimes knows about that phrase? Is it someone that's known... So hang on, didn't Takumi say he wrote a paper about it in the past? If that's right, if I'm remembering that correctly, then that would mean a potential suspect could be anyone who had maybe potentially previously read Takumi's paper. If they had ever previously read Takumi's paper, then that would automatically make them a culprit because they'd suddenly become one of the first ones to know about the phrase. The other thing I'm wondering is, what if it has something to do, again, with the precognitive powers? There's three things I'm wondering. There's three situations I'm envisioning. The one is the one I just mentioned, where it has to be someone who could have read the paper that Takumi had made regarding the whole whose eyes are those eyes. The second situation that I'm wondering it could be is, what if it's somebody else with precognitive powers using those powers to mess with, to like torment Takumi or something along those lines? It's possible. We've already heard from you that precognitive powers could probably exist, so what if someone's using them to torment Takumi for some reason or another? The third situation that I'm thinking of is the whole DID thing that Yua was looking at. What if all this is Takumi? What if Takumi somehow is actually the killer, and he's actually doing this is to, like, you know, if Takumi's actually doing this as like a dissociative identity disorder episode. And you may be thinking, oh, why would they make the main character... They couldn't possibly make a main character, or, like, they couldn't possibly do that before, or, right? They couldn't possibly make a main character, whatchamacallit, kill somebody and then have it not known the entire game. And all I have to say to that is, really? Really? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't have the main character kill somebody. A most curious assumption. Go play Steins Gate. Of course, there was still a nagging uneasiness in the corner of my mind. But by losing myself in ESO over the weekend, I've been able to temporarily forget about all that irritating, inexplicable garbage. Even though I had to go to school today, I'd been able to get through my classes by either sleeping through them or thinking about the stats and frame data of ESO's rarest items. I guess I leveled up a little bit. And so, on my way home from school, I stopped by At Cafe for the first time in a while. It made me happy to see that the room I usually use, room 37, was vacant and ready for me to use. The last time I'd set foot in it was at least 2 weeks ago, meaning that this was the longest gap I'd ever had between visits. The sour breeze blowing from the air conditioning, the manga stained with the smell of tobacco. How comfortable it was to sit back in the recliner. The snores of old men cutting through the silent, still air. It all provided the store's interior with an aura of pure nostalgia. I inspected the chat logs on room 37's PC, and that's when I realized both members of that chat log were you. This Shogun is you. There's the other oddity that's going on, anomaly that's happening at the moment. Shogun is supposedly Takumi. And the timestamps would imply that. But evidently, that's not possible. Takumi himself saw what he was doing. So, what's going on with Shogun? I hadn't seen Yua since then. We were in different grades, and I didn't go to school that often, so it made sense why we hadn't come across each other. Yua's got some incredible delusions. I couldn't help but pity her. She's clearly sick in the head. I'd be better off just leaving her be. Besides, meeting her at all had been a freak accident. Over the past 2 weeks or so, I'd been dragged into all sorts of random bullshit. Before then, my everyday life had been completely vanilla, and Misumi-kun was pretty much the only one who'd talk to me. Why was it that basically nothing but weird, inexplicable bullshit had been happening to me recently? Whose eyes are those eyes? I wanted to avoid thinking about that garbage as much as humanly possible. That dying message had to just be a coincidence. The words were all pretty common after all. If I thought of it, there was no reason someone else wouldn't have been able to as well. I had no interest in who that message was aimed at. No, I couldn't be interested. That's what I told myself anyhow. Suddenly something started ringing nearby. I jolted up in surprise and a shudder ran through me as I stayed rooted in my recliner. It was the sound of a phone ringing. Whose was it? Because the store was so quiet, the electronic sound rang out all the louder. I looked around, but I couldn't locate a phone anywhere. Wait, maybe it's... Thought came to my mind and I fished around in my bag. Sure enough, the ringing was coming from the cell phone I bought just a few days prior. I glanced warily at the LCD display. Normally the caller's name would be displayed there. Was it a good idea to answer? I didn't like talking to people that much, so probably not. Calling 03X733X991. Who the hell was calling me anyway? I hadn't told anyone about my phone number yet. The only people who knew it even existed were my family, with the Nami's nosy ass making sure to put them in my address book. When one of the people registered my address book called, their name should be displayed, meaning that whoever was calling wasn't a family member. So who was this? The phone kept on ringing persistently. Do people who had phones usually force people to listen to the ringing for this long? I'd never used one of them before, so I went no, but it was incredibly annoying. To suddenly invade someone's privacy like this, cursing them with an obnoxious ringing until they picked up. A socially acceptable way to invade someone's privacy. That was exactly why I didn't want one of these stupid things. Oh, it stopped. Relieved, I checked the screen again. Missed Calls 1 was displayed on it. I had no interest in returning this rando's call, so I decided to leave it be. How much you want to bet he's about to get spammed? It'd be a pain in the ass if this happened again in the future, so I really should figure out how to set up my voicemail. Cell phones were such a pain in the ass. I didn't even like phones to begin with. I mean, come on, they were freaky as hell. How exactly were you supposed to know if the person you were talking to on the RN was the actual person you thought it was? With how prevalent fraud was nowadays, were people actually taking the proper measures to make sure they were talking to the right person? I can't help but wonder how people would be able to calmly have a conversation with someone who might be an imposter, impersonator. Even if I understood the gist of it, how it worked, it was hard to believe that my voice could somehow reach distant places through a phone line. When you talk on the phone, your voice is temporarily converted into electrical signals. They pass through the phone lines until they reach the recipient, where they are then restored back to normal. That's when they become audible. In order to talk on the phone, you need to go through this conversion process at least twice. With a cell phone, your voice is first converted into electrical signals. Then it travels to a nearby base station via radio waves, which then run through normal phone lines to the switching station, then to the closest base station to the recipient, before finally arriving at their cell phone right afterward. It was a bizarre, complicated process. If my voice was replaced by electrical signals, could the other party really hear my voice word for word? Exactly as I'd sent it? In fact, wasn't it possible that in the conversion process, my voice and my words could be transformed into something completely different? For instance, if I called Nanami, but instead of connecting to her, it connected to some strange, shady facility. And there, I would end up talking to someone I never met who was only pretending to be Nanami. Maybe they wouldn't even be a person, but a computer instead. That was the big reason why cell phone calls freaked me out so much. They're even scarier than talking to someone face to face. I mean, I guess I can sort of understand what he's talking about, but at the same time, he's talking about something that would require very advanced tech, like to like actively be able to translate and like to like change a voice in real time into someone else's voice and copy it like perfectly. You're talking about ultra advanced kind of tech. I mean, sure, you can change your voice by like deepening it or shifting pitches and stuff like that. But to perfectly mimic a completely different person's voice, that's not exactly easy. And not exactly something you can do easily with tech right now either. Unless you're like an exceedingly good voice actor, I would assume. Hey, is it just me, or is there a weird girl with a weird dress in the middle here? When I logged into ESO as Lisa, as was often the case, 3 hours passed by in the blink of an eye. It had been 2 weeks since I last used her, but she made for pretty good support, so I was feeling pretty satisfied. I left at cafe in a good mood and started heading home. Center guy was as packed and noisy as usual, which irritated me. I'm still focused on the fact that it looks like there's a very out-of-place girl here. Bright lights illuminating the streets from the various shops made it hard to believe it was nighttime. At the end of the well-lit road, despite the crowds, I clearly saw her, causing me to stop dead in my tracks. That one girl. Yo, sick-ass sword. What is that? Yo, badass sword you got there. Okay, so this is the third weapon we've now seen that looks strange. We've seen the one that the pink-haired girl in the intro has, which is some kind of, like, bow. Oh, looking weapon. We've seen the one that Fez has, which, to me, honestly looks like a rapier kind of weapon. You know, the ones you just point and stab with. This one almost makes me think of, like, a greatsword, honestly. Okay. And you're the girl that we saw briefly at the school. The one that, yeah. In the midst of so many people, she glared directly at me. What are these weapons? They're so strange. Right smack in the middle of Center Guy, where people were coming and going without reprieve, where it was difficult to even walk straight, she stood still, resting the gigantic sword she carried on her shoulder. You know, there's something else I'm actually starting to really wonder. Because surely, I feel like, can other people see these weapons? That's what I want to know. Because don't you think it's odd how people are not exactly, like, responding to the, to seeing people with these giant weapons? The only, like, situation in which I can think of where it might have been seen by other people was the one by Fez, because she was using it as, like, a mic stand. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, something feels... It feels like people are just not noticing these weapons. Because, come on, you would stop and stare at this and just, like, be confused if you saw this in the middle of your daily walk. Right smack in the middle of Center Guy, where people were coming and going without reprieve, where it was difficult to even walk straight. She stood still, resting her gigantic sword she carried on her shoulder. The spectacle was completely absurd. And yet no one paid her sword any mind. A stream of people flowed right past her with no change in demeanor. I don't think other people can notice these weapons. For some reason, Takami's able to see them. But the fact that no one's caring about these... She was the girl I'd seen at 107. Okay, it is the same girl. She had been there when Nanami was dragging me around to buy a cell phone. We finally get to see it. It was this girl. Got it. What are these weapons?
bow, a rapier, and what looks like a great sword to me. Why all these special weapons? Why do these people have them? The shape of her sword, her suime uniform, her long black hair, everything matched perfectly. Back then, she had been standing at the top of the stairs in front of 107, watching the passerby come and go. And I remembered the sharpness of her glare. I'd met her once before, at school. She had these almond-shaped eyes and clean-cut model-like features, and yet they only served to make her seem all the more unapproachable. It was all capped off by that long, silky black hair that stretched all the way down to her waist. She was Girl B, the one who had so rudely probed me in the corridors after school one day, asking me who I was. Did she already tell that there was something off about Takumi? Come to think of it, why was she glaring at me? Could she already tell that something was off about Takumi, and that's why he was trying to ask about it? Thinking maybe it wasn't me she was looking at, I turned around. Usually when something like this happened, more often than not, they were just looking at someone who happened to be behind me. But that wasn't the case here. The one she was glaring at, her gaze filled with intense hostility, had to be me. Froze. I knew now what it felt like to be someone's prey. Glaring back out was out of the question. I was always terrible at looking at people in the eye, so I couldn't help but stare down at the pavement. I should run. Normally I'd go home by taking a left at Scramble Crossing, but where she was standing, and then I would end up next to Bookfat. But today I head for the station instead. There were a lot of people there, but I'd rather that than deal with some scary 3D girl harassing me. Hell, she might even try to mug me. Or maybe she was only feigning to be being alone. And she actually had several Dokuns lurking nearby, waiting for her to lure me in so they could beat the shit out of me. To be honest, they'd probably one-shot me. Like I'd fall for that. I swivels to the right, only to be completely caught off guard. What?
Oh.
Huh? What? Somehow the girl was right in front of me. Flustered, I turned back around to look at the Scramble Crossing. She was no longer there. How did you do that? I looked in front of me once again. The girl at the store was still glaring at me, just as she had been before. What the hell? When did she get around me? Legs could only move so fast. That was practically teleportation. Besides, how could she have predicted that I'd turn around in the first place?
Oi.
Hey, you. Her voice reached my ears with extreme clarity. I frantically looked around me. I wanted to think she was talking to someone else. Even though I already knew full well who she was talking to, I searched for anyone else that she could be directing that "hey you" toward. But obviously, there was no one. A number of businessmen walking by glanced at Girl B inquisitively, only to realize she wasn't talking to them and walked away. Girl B, who had been standing there imposingly the entire time, took a sudden step toward me. That was all the confirmation I needed. Girl B had been targeting me after all. I'm talking to you. Do you see it? Yeah, no shit. Rude as ever. In my 17 years of life, I could probably count the number of times a girl had talked to me like this on one hand. Well, I guess there were times when Kirimiya Tsubaki, aka Sunko, had talked to me like that, but it was in a tsundere kind of way. Granted, Sunko was just a 2D character from the Eroge Tell Me doll. Thank you. Stop it! Girl B kept getting closer and closer as those stupid thoughts raced through my head. I was about to say, we got a sword pointed at us? Why does she feel so intimidating even though she's a girl, I wondered. But the reasons were simple. She's holding a deadly weapon. A sharp look in her eyes and a gigantic sword she was carrying. Her sword had a fairly unique shape. It was the kind of thing that operated on anime logic. It had an awesome design, but if you actually used it in real life, it'd be completely unusable. It had to be from some mecha anime. Have there been any mecha anime that have been started airing recently? Even though I knew it was a prop of for some random anime cosplay, it still looked incredibly sharp and solid. Like if you even so much as touched it, it would slice your fingers clean off. What a strange sword. I asked you if you could see it. Girl B had already cut the distance between us by 2 meters. If she swung her sword, it would hit me. Flustered, I took a step back, but it was too late.
Girlby closed the distance further and further.
Did you just... She actually swung the sword.
Covering on the spot, I covered my head. If I hadn't dodged it, it would have hit my head for sure. I doubt it would have cut me, but with that kind of force behind it, it would have given me a concussion or permanently dented my skull. I hated pain. What the hell are you? I was so shaken that my speech got all messed up. Girlby looked down at me coldly. What is that? This chick wasn't normal, waving a sword around in the middle of a crowd. Wait, was she in the midst of a hit and run? Was she a spree killer? Or could she be the new gen culprit? Or the demon girl's accomplice? Oh, kill me. This next thing I knew, I was trembling. I felt like I was this close to pissing myself out of sheer terror. What don't you understand? I'm only asking if you can see it. What was she talking about? If I said I couldn't see it, would she kill me? How was I supposed to answer if I didn't even know what I was supposed to be seeing? Calm down. I'll ask again. This sword, the D sword, can you see it? D sword? Huh? D sword? It was the first time I'd ever heard of that word. I'd be referring to the sword she was holding, but I decided to just nod. I mean, I obviously could see it, but there'd be something wrong with me if I couldn't. Looking around a sword that large and conspicuous, and in center guy no less. I'd be willing to accept if this was Akibaba in Shibuya of all places. I see. So you two have been gathered.
I'm sorry?
Gathered? Who? And by who? At the very least, I was definitely here voluntarily. Have you seen an error before?
I've seen a lot of shit that don't make sense, man.
In Japanese, please?
I'm about to say, can you speak? Make more sense, please.
Was what I wanted to say, but unsurprisingly, I wasn't brave enough. Then again, if I said the wrong thing, she'd probably stab me, so... Regardless, this chick had been spouting nothing but nonsense ever since she'd first opened her mouth. Tell me if you see one. After she said that, Girlby turned around. Her skirt stop it. I'm Aoi Sana, a third year. You'll find me on the train in front of the station. What? I opened my eyes. I don't think she was bad. I think she was trying to help us, honestly.
The problem is, I can't tell what any of what she said means.
But she called her sword the D sword. At the very least, I assume it's pronounced like that, considering I heard the voice actor say... It sounded like they said D sword. So I'm assuming it's D sword. But... And then she said we were gathered. It almost sounds like some sort of game. Honestly. Are people being chosen for some special event? And is Takumi just one of the people who so happens to be part of this game that's being made? Is that... Wait. Gathered? Whose eyes are those eyes? Are the eyes that Takumi's feeling the one who's maybe gathered him? The girl calling herself Sana had vanished. Well, at least we have a name. She didn't seem bad. She just wasn't explaining anything. I was completely stunned, and it wasn't until I arrived back at my base that I realized I hadn't understood a single goddamn word she'd said. Yeah, that was interesting. Why is the door open? Despite everything going on, I had to go to school 3 times this week. Somebody kill me. Are we gonna see Santa again? What? A mysterious screech resounded from far away. The sudden nature of it made me jump. When I slowly looked in the direction it came from... Shit.
Run!
Big bro!
Start running. Nanami rushed toward me with a staggering speed. I tried to run away, but it was too late. She already circled around me and blocked my path. She always did have amazing reflexes.
Hey, why'd you try and run away when you saw me?
You scatty. Maybe because you're incredibly annoying.
Geez, you're always so quick to clam up like that.
Damn it, why did you decide to go to Suime of all places? That decision had done nothing but cause me endless pain and suffering. Whenever she ran into me on the way to school, she always stuck her nose in my business without fail.
Hey, do you like your new phone? Are you using it? Let me guess, probably not, right? It's been days and days since we bought it, and you haven't called home a single time. That's how I know.
Doing my best to break free, I started speed walking, but Nanami was determined to keep up.
You can at least call home and let us know you're alive, you know? That's why we bought it in the first place. And if you can't bear to do that for whatever reason, you can just call me. Because Mom's worried about you. Have you been eating right? Why'd I even ask? You've probably been throwing off nothing but stuff from the convenience store. I knew you'd be helpless living on your own. Just come back home, you butt. Do you have any idea how I feel whenever I come to check up on you? I'm always so worried about you. I just can't help it.
SGFU! That was your problem. Are you my mom or something? Stop talking about shit like this when we're on the side of the road. It's humiliating. I had already been feeling like shit, yet this bitch had somehow managed to come along and make me feel even worse. Well... There was nothing on this earth more embarrassing than walking to school with your younger sister. I wouldn't know, I'm the youngest in my family. The situation came about quite often in Eroge. Hell, I'd always longed for it to happen to me, but Nanami was nothing compared to Duty little sister. Less than nothing. Thank you, Takumi. A slightly tense atmosphere hung in the air between us as we walked side by side towards school. I looked at Nanami to see if there was any chance of escape before we reached the gate. Even though she had been yammering on and on about just a bit ago, she had fallen completely silent, and now walking with an absent-minded look on her face. It even looked like her eyes weren't really focused on the road, but that was probably just my imagination. Her footsteps were unsteady. Why? Something must be wrong with her, I suspected. She kept on swaying back and forth, and about a moment later, she stumbled right out into the road. Right as a car came racing toward her. Hey, watch out! Panicking, I grabbed Nanami's arm and yanked her back. The horn of the car blared as it sped by. She just barely avoided getting run over. What the hell are you doing, dumbass?
Huh? Huh?
Nanami blinked a few times, then tilted her head to the side.
Why did I do that? Huh?
I was at a loss for words. She was an honest-to-God fucking idiot. Something's wrong here. Why was she... She didn't even understand her own actions. For the record, that wasn't Moe, not even close. Seriously, what are you doing? Are you trying to get run over?
Was there... car?
Yes, there was a car! What's up with this whole fucking ditz of a sister?
Hey, big bro. That whirring sound just now... Didn't you hear it?
Whirring sound? What? What? What was she talking about? I hadn't heard jack shit.
I heard that sound, my head went all fuzzy for some reason. And over there...
Nanami pointed at the corner of the road.
I saw Mom and Dad. You were calling me.
When I looked to where Nanami was pointing, I didn't see our parents. Instead, I saw a creepy man standing in that exact spot. He wore a plaid shirt, fingerless gloves, jeans rolled up at the bottom, and white sneakers. He had a rucksack on his back that was filled to bursting. He looked like an otaku plucked straight out of Akihabara. Capping off his outfit, he was holding a video camera in one hand. Did he have a voyeur fetish or some shit?
Hey,
don't point strangers. What a rude-ass sister. Besides, it makes no sense for our parents to be here in the first place. They live in Shimokitazawa, after all.
That's so weird. I know I heard my name.
The man started looking our way. Then he pointed the camera lens at us. What the hell was wrong with him? Let's go, Nanami. Frightened, I quickly ran from the scene, leaving Nanami behind.
Hey, big bro, wait for me.
Something's happening, and I don't like it. I continued to ignore Nanami until we got to school, upon which I ditched her to walk down the noisiest ever hallway toward my classroom. Alright. She heard a whirring noise? She was in some kind of trance, is what she was, and it almost got her killed. What's going on? Do you think that has any relation to how the new gen cases happen? Walking down the hallway, stay along the edge. Don't walk too fast or too slow. Don't make eye contact with anyone. Those were the 3 rules I always followed. That was how I didn't stand out in school. Transformed myself into an existence akin to air itself. That was my secret to success.
Yo,
Taku! Yeah, people like him definitely made it hard for it to actually work. Catching up to me from behind, Misumi-kun greeted me in his normal, overly friendly fashion by clapping a hand on my shoulder. What's up? Come on, you can at least greet me back. Well, whatever. I know you're not really that kind of guy. Hey, remember that chick I was talking about a couple weeks ago? Bet from Class D? You know, those super cute one that doesn't come to school that often? What are you talking about? Her name's Kishimoto Ayase. Anyway, I discovered something absolutely insane about her. Misumi-kun suddenly lowered his voice, then looked around us. It was just gonna be something vulgar, wasn't it? Already tired of his BS, I almost let out a sigh. So, you know Fess, right? But what he said made me bite it back. Kishimoto? She is Fess! That really threw me for a loop. I can't believe Fess is a student at our school! And did you know that she's in the same year as us too? For whatever reason, Misumi-kun leaned his upper body out the window, then gazed up toward the sky with a look of pure ecstasy. This has to be that fate thing everyone's always talking about. This was the 3rd floor. If he were to slip, he'd fall to the ground and break his neck, ending his life just like that. My anxiety steadily climbed as I watched him. Misumi-kun leaned farther and farther and farther out the window, or switching his gaze down toward the entrance beneath it. Oh shit, speaking of the devil, Taku, I see Kishimoto. She'll be here any minute now. Huh? With so many coincidences piling up one after the other, maybe it really was fate. Not that I cared. Alright, I'll be waiting to pounce on her aunt here. I'll show you a thing or two about picking up chicks. Now, watch me work. He was brimming with self-confidence. Man, alpha males like him really were impressive. Picking up girls and all that was a completely different world for me. It wasn't even worth trying. Oh boy. But... Oh, hey! And a few moments later, Fess, or Kishimoto Ayase, appeared. It was just like Misumi-kun said. She really was Fez. I made sure of that while observing her from a safe distance. I still couldn't believe she was in the same year as us. She almost looks completely different without all the makeup and stuff. She was wearing a sume uniform. A distinct aloofness came from her expression as she walked down the hallway. Gave off a completely different impression than the one she'd had back on stage. Back then, despite her apathetic tone, I'd felt a sense of power and liveliness emanating off of her. She's the other person to have one of those strange weapons. The strange, like, rapier slash, like, lance one or whatever. I don't know. But now, the aura she gave off felt listless and unapproachable. Ignoring this, likely deliberately, Misumi-kun strolled over to her with the same overly friendly attitude he always had with me, and casually stopped right next to her. Yo, Kishimoto-san! Good morning! Oh, his smile was so invigorating despite being so obviously fake. I had no idea how he was able to act like that around someone he barely knew. That's why we love him. That's why we admire him. Then again, I didn't really want to be him. Oh yeah, I'm Misumi Daisuke. Nice to finally meet ya. Oh wait, that might make you think we haven't met before, right? But nope, not true. So I went to a Phantasm concert the other day. You know what that means? It means it's our second time seeing each other. And I just want to say, your boyfriend back then, how do I put this? He gave me the chills. It's not like I'm the type of guy to follow the herd, you know? Sure, I was taken in by your lyrics and how cute you are and stuff like that, but what impressed me the most was how perfectly in sync you and your band were. You know, like how perfect their sound and your voice work together. You guys show me what real harmony's like. Fun fact about me, I've always wanted to start a band, so if it's cool with you, could you tell me how to find some bandmates? Or any other tips you think I should know? Oh, but that's kind of putting you on the spot, isn't it? So maybe not. Wait, I know. Are you free after school today? How about we go and take some time to talk about it?
Bro, she is just staring. Misumi-kun just kept on talking with no breaks. His tone was different than usual, and it was obviously fake. Break? Not only that, but he wasn't hitting on her directly, instead using the band angle in order to invite her somewhere nonchalantly. I'd never heard of this fun fact about Misumi-kun wanting to start a band before. It had to be a lie. He was willing to go that far in order to win some points, to force a flag rather than obtaining it naturally. Thank you, Misumi. But Bess didn't even so much as look at him. She simply continued to walk down the hallway at the same pace, as if not a sound had reached her ears. Hey, are you listening? Suddenly, Fess stopped in her tracks. Her slightly lowered gaze slowly rose up, and then she looked at me. Huh? Me? Come to think of it, the same thing happened at the concert. Felt like Fess was staring directly at me. Just in general, I've been stared at by a whole bunch of freaky 3D girls over the past couple weeks. God, what the hell was going on? Was I becoming popular now? So naturally I averted my eyes, so I'd only met her gaze for just a second. Your sword. Find it. Quickly. I'm sorry? Suddenly Fess spoke. I have a sword? I have a cool weapon like the rest of you do? That's awesome if I do. How do I find it? Very little energy could be felt from her apathetic tone. I had no idea if those words were directed at me or Misumi-kun. A sword? If you do, you shall be granted salvation. What? What? How do I even respond to that? When she finished whispering at what seemed like no one in particular, her eyes returned to the floor, and she began to walk away. She slipped straight past me and entered Class D. Misumi-kun and I watched her go, the two of us completely and utterly lost. Hey, Taku. Misumi-kun was very clearly sulking. In the end, despite his efforts, Fez hadn't paid any attention to him at all. Must have been pretty rough to have had her completely ignore his entire existence. But I was used to that kind of thing. I've never had my pride torn to shreds like this before. You've lost your touch, Daisuke. Damn it. What a bitch. Don't fool yourself just because you're a little famous. Don't even bark trying to get with an antisocial bitch like her. Okay, Daisuke. God damn it, this sucks ass. What was up with that finding a sword shit anyway? Made no sense to me. A sword? Could that be referring to that mic stand thing she'd been using during the concert? Come to think of it, there had been another person a couple days ago that interrogated me about a sword. Yeah, that Sena girl. The one who was absolutely terrifying. What are these weapons? I actually thought she was going to slice me in two. The sword she'd been carrying was a different shape than the one Fez had, but they had a similar aura to them. Could the two of them be connected somehow? I didn't know. There was way too much shit I didn't know. What are these weapons? Shogun, the demon girl, Yua, Fez, Sena, swords. As was my old habit, I jotted down a list of all the things I didn't know enough about in my head. I
I meant to put myself as one final item on the list, but I decided against it. It was completely normal. It was the stuff happening around me that wasn't. That was the most obvious conclusion. No, Takumi was mentioned to be one of the gathered. He could see the swords when other people seemingly can't. Something about errors, the D sword. Was Fess my ally? Or my enemy? It would be nice to know at least that much. Problem was, I didn't have the courage to ask her. How strange. Animate. Today I head straight for anime without stopping by at Cafe. The reason, of course, was to finally pick up my long-awaited Bloodtoon figure, Seraton, post-awakening version. While I was in checkout, Yua's face crossed my mind for a second, but I cut off those thoughts immediately. I glanced at the Seratons that were set on display in order to attract customers, but since the sculptor was Kijima Yoshio, not a single word needed to be said about their quality. I had to get home fast so I could enjoy her every nook and cranny as soon as possible. As long as I could admire Seraton's face every now and then while I played ESO, I was content. Why did the entire third dimension do nothing but bring me trouble? It plagues me even now. I hid straight for my base in high spirits, forgetting all about Fez and swords and whatever else, and practically skipping the entire way home. Uh-oh. When I was about 50 meters away, I encountered two men who carried an unmistakably abnormal air about them. I attempted to pass by them without making eye contact, but they were very clearly watching me.
You over there. Can we have a moment?
The first of the two who would call out to me was a dull, older man, one that looked like he belonged at a cycling racetrack gambling his life away. His hair was a mess, and his unshaved beard was somehow worse. He wore a worn-out old suit, a sloppily tied necktie, and dress shoes that didn't show a trace of being cared for. All of it came together to form an unparalleled example of a man who'd failed to get ahead in life. For some reason, the fact that he was flapping a fan at himself only served to further emphasize how pathetic he looked. His expression was similarly languid, his mouth curled into a flippant smile. Yet when our eyes met for a split second, I knew that he wasn't really smiling. There was nowhere to run. As I searched for something to reply to them with, the two men made their way up to me.
In case you're wondering who we are.
The older man took out a black badge from his suit and held it out toward me. It was the same kind of police badge you see in various TV shows, but it was obviously the first time I'd ever seen a real one. They finally come for me. They could only be here for one thing. The crucifixion case.
Mind if we ask you a couple questions? We won't force you, of course. Oh, no, don't worry. You can take it easy. We're not after you or anything. We just want to hear your take on things. Honest.
The way he spoke didn't show a trace of trying to intimidate me. The other younger detective, however, wore a strict expression as he nonchalantly moved to block my path. Sweat started running down my neck. If I made any wrong moves, they'd likely suspect me of being the culprit and haul me down to the station right then and there. I didn't want that to happen. I resigned myself, then gave a small nod.
Let's see. Have you heard about what's commonly referred to as the New Generation Madness?
Knew it. I wiped the beads of sweat off my forehead, then gave him a nod in reply.
Then you would also know about the third case, aka the crucifixion case, correct? It did happen right in this neighborhood after all. We've been looking for witnesses. Oh, and while we're at it, could you tell me your name?
The gulp forced itself down my throat. This wasn't some bait and switch shit, was it? Or maybe there were a bunch of con men who were only acting like policemen, while in reality they were just mining my personal information so they could put it to the ill use. They could even be the demon girl's underlings.
You still there? Did we lose you?
They started to suspect me, there'd be no end to it. What should I do? If I gave them a fake name, they might arrest me immediately.
Oh, are you worried about protecting your personal info? Should I really look that untrustworthy?
I'll say. By the way, his friendly way of speaking had to just be an act. Nishijo Takumi. In the end, I figured there was no way around it, and that it was in my best interest to answer honestly.
Nishijo Takumi-kun. Mind if I call you that?
I shook my head.
You sure about that?
Huh? What was that supposed to mean? I purposely given him my real name, so what the hell was that reaction?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just yanking your chain of scotch. Don't worry about it.
Detective's unnatural laughter rang throughout the quiet residential area. Just hurry up and let me go already.
That uniform of yours. It's from Suime, ain't it? What year are you in?
I have to answer stuff like that. Second.
Hmm? Sorry, didn't catch that. I'm at that age where your ears start to go. Could you run that by me one more time?
I'm a second year.
Second year, got it. Alright then, Nishijo-san. I'll ask up for what we want to ask. Where were you on the 29th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.?
Were they asking me for my alibi? Did that mean they suspected me? That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's not like we suspect you or anything. We thought that if you were in the neighborhood, you might have seen someone suspicious or heard something, that's all.
For some reason, the way the guy talked was really starting to get to me. Maybe talking in a way that deliberately agitated the subject was some kind of interrogation technique. Of course, I had seen someone suspicious. I'd seen someone very clearly in it with my own 2 eyes. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to tell that to the shady old guy. What would I do if I told him and then the demon girl came back for revenge? It seemed like the demon girl was letting me run free for now, but she still had Shogun on her side, and he was equipped with precognitive power, so by that logic, that must have meant that the demon girl had some sort of insane power as well. If that was true, and I told the police about it, she might find out about it immediately because of her clairvoyance or whatever, and then she'd come to kill me right after.
Hey, Nishijo-kun. Surely it isn't that hot out today, or is it?
My heart rate skyrocketed. If I stayed silent like this, they would absolutely suspect me of being the criminal. But at the same time, I was scared that if I lied and I said I didn't see anything, they'd see right through me. The older man fanned me a couple times with his fan. A cool breeze rustled my hair.
We're pretty deep into fall after all, so I can't say I feel it's hot enough outside to be sweating. Well, no one's built quite the same as anyone else, I suppose.
Ironic, considering he was the one walking around with the fan. But he was right. It wasn't all that hot out today. It was perfect, actually. The kind of temperature you'd actually enjoy spending time in. I wiped the sweat off my forehead with my sleeve countless times now. Didn't do it.
Oh.
I looked in his eyes. The look in his eyes shifted. I realized that I'd slipped up, but I had no idea what exactly had tipped him off.
What didn't you do?
They definitely suspect me. I had to answer honestly. Staring at the manhole cover right beneath my feet, I began to blurt out everything. I saw something. At the crucifixion scene, there was this girl. She was standing in front of the body and her hands were covered in blood. There were tons of stakes stabbed into the corpse. There had to be over 500 of them. It was so messed up. The body, it looked almost like a hedgehog. The girl, she looked at me and said, "Thank goodness," and then she smiled at me. The girl, she's not human. She's a demon. She's a cult behind New Gen. She's a being that transcends humanity. She has broad precognition, super strong ESP, and... Upon saying that much, I realized the 2 detectives were staring at me with their eyes wide. Maybe they didn't believe me, thinking that I clamped my mouth shut.
Demon, huh? I see. That's very helpful.
I'm telling the truth.
I know. I never doubted that. You know some valuable information.
Please get the police to protect me.
Before we do all that, do you know how old the girl was? Her clothes, her facial features, stuff that that'll do.
A Suime uniform.
Suime? You mean Suime Academy?
She was wearing a Suime uniform.
In other words, she goes to the same high school as you, Nishijo-kun.
After simmering on that for a moment, the old man grinned. He then muttered something that could be either an actual question or him just mumbling to himself.
What year is she in, I wonder? What do you think, Nishijo-kun?
I don't know.
Alright, then what's her name?
I don't know that either. I don't know that demon's name.
What about her height and weight? Omar, you're at it. Her measurements?
What's up with this old man? Is he screwing with me? How was I supposed to know even a single one of those?
Do you think I could instantly get all those measurements from a single glance? Oh yeah, sure, I absolutely had such a stupid power. Oh wait, no I didn't, because that was a goddamn rom-com manga.
Oh, you climbing up over there telling me you don't know. No big deal. You've been a big help today. We gotta head back to HQ and consider all this carefully.
Sir, are you serious? He was waving his hand to silence the dumbfounded younger detective. The older man signaled something to him with his eyes.
Before I forget, Nishijo-kun, could you tell us how to get a hold of you?
Why? I knew they wouldn't believe me. They wanted to label me as some nut job and falsely accuse me of everything.
Oh, you said there was a demon, didn't you? We gotta protect you from it somehow, no?
So that's why he asked. Oh, thank God, they actually believed me. If I could get the police to protect me, it would be incredibly reassuring. Yes, the enemy was a demon, so the police would only get it one shot if they went up against her. It was better than being unarmed. Feeling slightly relieved, I took out the phone I had bought a few days prior and showed him my phone number. The younger detective scribbled it down in his notebook.
Well then, time for us to chat. Thank you for your time. We'll keep you safe, so don't worry. Alright, if we have any more questions, we'll give you a ring, so keep your ears peeled. Make sure not to pretend like you're not there or something, you hear? Not to pretend like you're not there or something, you hear me? As of now, you're an invaluable asset to the police.
Huh?
Your eyewitness testimony could be exactly what we need to blow this case wide open. Have a good one.
The two detectives bowed their head and promptly took off. I'm honestly very surprised they didn't just book him there and then. I wonder if he knows anything about the swords or whatnot. After taking a glance at me over his shoulder, the younger detective whispered something to the older one. The older man paid him no mind and simply continued to walk. I let out a long, long sigh. That was intense. It was the first time I'd ever been questioned by actual detectives. I'd acted pretty suspicious without meaning to, but they believed me anyway. Somehow. God, I'd give anything for the police to arrest the demon girl. Then again, the police didn't have any special powers, so maybe I should keep my expectations low. I then noticed that my mouth had gone incredibly dry without me realizing, so I redirected myself to the nearest vending machine and got myself a cola. Oh shit, the costume on the post-awakening version is way too erotic. He's Stop it. Face is so cute. You attempt to match the anime somewhat lacking, but her face has that distinct... Okie dokie. Good job, my lord. Stop it. I had a theory that the hair would be truly to sell as the post-awakening version, but definitely wasn't wrong. Right then. No. Stop it. Enough. That hat has an eye on it. Simply looking over her made me grin uncontrollably. Life was good, is it? I logged on and immediately started posting my impressions of my new Seraton figure on @channel. When I finished doing that, I went out to check my email and then checked to see if any of my friends on Freypar had posted any updates. I've got a friend request. Who's this? Probably someone from the Sarah fandom. Sure, accept. Now then, time for Yasuo. The very second I thought that... I felt chills on the nape of my neck. It was the gaze, complete with its usual intense presence. Whose eyes are those eyes? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Nope. Damn it, this was not the time. When did I started feeling the gaze? I'd long since forgotten. It slithered its way into each and every part of my life, bothering the shit out of me all the way. There were a lot of things that disturbed my peace, but the gaze was right up there with Nanami as the most irritating thing I had to deal with. Fine then, let's do it. It'll take more than that to make me turn around game. Still fixated on my monitor, I tried to think of some cool lines you'd hear on in a manga. Come on out, you piece of shit. Did you think you could pull the wool over my eyes? How incredibly naive. There was no response. Why would there be? Hell, I'd be much more terrified if there had been...
Huh?
I heard something. Upon hearing it, I immediately whipped around. I'd lost today's no turning around game. There was no one else in the room. Was it just a hallucination? Please be a hallucination. Or from the bottom of my heart, that was all I hoped for. It came again. It was a sound again. I couldn't weasel my way out of this. It was the sound of someone knocking on my door from the outside. In other words, someone was here. Practically no human beings ever came to visit me. Even newspaper salesmen wouldn't bother getting up on the roof. All I could think of was... a delivery guy? No, I wasn't supposed to be getting any packages today. Nanami? No, Nanami would be so much more obnoxious. She'd be banging the door screen, "Big bro, open up," making my eardrums bleed. Yua? Chances of that were high. She'd been bit to my base once before. Had the demon girl order her to come and kill me? If that were true, why would she bother knocking? The knocking sound continued. I was completely frozen in place, trying to figure out what to do, but I couldn't come up with a single good idea that quickly. I started freaking out more and more. Wait, I could just pretend like I wasn't home. Or was that being too cautious? No, there was no such thing right now. Shibuya had gotten incredibly dangerous recently, after all. If it was Yua, then there was absolutely no way I could let her in. If I did, it'd be pretty much asking to get killed. On a related note, what was my door locked? I stared in the direction of the door, but thanks to the darkness, I couldn't see very well. Slowly got up and tiptoed toward the door, being careful not to make a sound.
Huh.
I reached the center of the room. I finally knew for sure. The door wasn't locked. Chills assaulted my entire body. My heartbeat increased rapidly, and my anxiety shot up along with it. Trying to lock my goddamn door. If someone just waltzed right on in right now and stabbed me in the back, I would have no right to complain. I had to lock it. Fast. If I made a sound, they'd immediately find out that I was just pretending to not be home, but that was far better than letting them get inside. I was about to bolt toward the door when... I accidentally stepped on the empty boxed lunch that had fallen on the floor. I slipped to an almost comical degree and landed hard on my ass. Extreme pain made me moan in silent agony. And then, right before my eyes, the door slowly began to open. I didn't know who it was, but whoever had been knocking was now opening the door of their own accord. I tried to get up, but the pain kept my body from listening to me. All I could do was stare with teary eyes as the door opened. The first thing I saw was a hand. The sleeve on it was clearly from Suime Academy uniform. Next I saw hair. A little longer than Nanami's, but shorter than Yua's. I didn't know who it was. The hair stirred, and the last thing I saw was a face suddenly peeking into the room.
Konnichiwa.
Oh no. You know what? I think this is a perfect point to stop for today. Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and end here for the day. So, next time, I guess we're gonna figure out why she's here all of a sudden. You know, the murderer. Oh boy. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and hope to see you all later. Peace. I'm scared.